Hey YouTube. So I'm here to record the review for the Haves and Have-Nots season 4 episode 22 titled Handkerchief. Okay, so let me begin by saying this was a great episode. Like clearly it's building up, building up, building up, building up. Like I'm so excited for next week, and I've been excited but not so excited in a couple of episodes now. The past episodes have been decent. This episode has a lot of important details, so let's just dig right in, okay? Okay, so it starts off where it left off, where the banker, which his name is Mr. Bowman, he comes into Candace's house. So there's a conversation going on between Candace, Benny, and the banker. Now, Candace is basically trying to get Benny just to not say anything because the banker says that there's an issue. There's an issue because the banker realizes that the loan that he gave her, once he looked through the documents, he noticed that they may be falsified. And so then Benny says, Candace, is he talking about that mortgage that I told you I wasn't going to sign? Like, Benny, shut up. Like, you talk about private stuff like that, like in private. That is personal. Now, of course, this banker has all your information, but like, don't play your cards. Like, you may as well be playing spades and just play with your hand wide open. But anyways, so then the banker says, oh, you're Benny Young. Oh, okay. Well, actually, let me show you these documents. Is this your signature? And Benny's like, nope. And so, like, automatically, you're just like, Benny, you're stupid. Like, you should have just went along with it. Do you not realize that forgery is a federal offense? Like, come on, man. But in Benny's defense, he knows how his sister is. He knows that she can be shady and scandalous and whatever she has going on. If she's included his name in there, he probably didn't want to be involved. So, hey, I guess the truth set you free, he says. So he says no. Then the banker says, yeah, I didn't think so. So with that being said, your loan is now going into default. And Benny says, how much is the loan? $2 million. Benny is like, what? So he says, yeah, it's going into default. So, and then Candace says, okay, can we just talk at a later time? No, I'm sorry, we can't talk at a later time. He says, you're going to have to turn in the money, the $2 million in cash or whatever, to the bank by 5 p.m. tomorrow. So Benny is thinking, what? Okay, so what if she don't turn it in? He says, if she doesn't turn it in, then the feds will be showing up at her house and she will be serving jail time for this. A very long time at that. So your other option would be to give us your house, as in Benny's house, Candace's house, the tow yard, and everything, all the furniture, clothes, cars, everything that is attached to those homes and that tow yard. So, of course, they don't want to be left with nothing. So Benny is just outdone. Benny just like drops his head because he has always been the one to like slightly believe in his sister. His mom has been telling him this all along, but whatever. He didn't want to listen, and to find out that she has paid for all of this stuff with that money, and now she got a $2 million loan that she can't pay back or she's going to go to jail. He even offered to just sign the papers and, have the tow yard be in his name and his house. But the banker said no, she's already proven that she's not trustworthy. So, of course, Benny, he just goes outside and drops his head. Now, when the banker leaves, Candace goes outside to Benny. She's feeling real bad about herself because she feels like, oh my gosh, she's the last person that had an ounce of hope and faith left in me, and I've let him down. I'm tired of lying to him, and now I've gotten him involved in several things. Let me just tell him the truth. So at this point, she confesses everything. Like all the way to the beginning, she says, I was an escort. Yes, it's true. It was to get pay my way through college. And then I had met up with Jim Pryor because I was an escort for him. Of course, he paid me. Then at that time, I didn't know he was Amanda's father. I found out that he was Amanda's father. So I blackmailed him so that I wouldn't snitch. And I blackmailed him for $100,000, which of course paid that mortgage that Benny took out on his mom's house. And then she also got the little red sports car that she has. Okay, so then of course he was really upset about that, and then he found out. Then he had her kidnapped, and they had her in a basement. They were about to kill her. They didn't end up killing her. Um, let me see. Basically everything, all the way down to Oscar, all the way down to, so she had War and his buddies kidnapped Jim. Then she took blackmail pictures of him. Some type of way. Well, she told War that she only got $400,000, so she only gave him $200,000. Which, come to find out, he thought that she got $4 million. So then he was threatening to kill Benny, so that unless she gave him $2 million. And so she got the money to him. That's why she got the loan. But then what's his face, Mitch, saw War taking advantage of her physically, so he calls and he gets drugs planted in his car, and now War's in jail. And when War gets out of jail, or while he's still in jail, he'll probably think Benny has something to do with this, and Candace, so he'll be going after the both of them. And meanwhile, she's trying to get her money back because she was marked by Oscar, whose real name is not even Oscar, and she's just so stressed out and frustrated. And even with the car that Benny a girl just gave to him, that actually came from Candace to give to his mother. Just the whole story, everything. Okay, well, at this point, as soon as she finishes, she's crying and everything. Benny looks shocked. He's not saying a word. He's not trying to interrupt her or anything. As soon as she finishes, he says, "You're lying." She's like, "What?" He's like, No, you're lying. I know you're lying. That's what you do. You're a liar. You always lie. Always. It's just like, I think he calls her mommy, which is kind of weird. It's just like mommy says, why lie when the truth will do? So why do you keep lying? And at this point, she really can't blame him, because she's lied to him about so much. So, of course, he's not going to all of a sudden believe her. So she just says, okay, I'm lying. And she says, well, I need to go get the money. I'm going to go find the guy that marked me, and I'm going to get this money, and I'm going to pay it. And so could you please move out the way? Because at this point, they're standing outside, and he's standing in front of her car. So he says, no, you're not doing that right now. Hannah calls Benny at that point. Hannah is saying, hey, I'm on my way to Candace's house to bring the baby. I got a car. Benny says, don't worry about it. Just turn around. Candace is going to give you the baby. So Candace is looking shocked, like, what? And so, of course, the ball is in Benny's court now. She's involved him in so much mess. Plus, he's probably thinking, yeah, you really don't need the baby. With as much stuff as you're caught up in, you don't need this baby. Let mom have the baby. Just let it be. And so Hannah is shocked on the phone, like, Benny, are you serious? He's like, yes, you can have the baby. She's just going to give him to you. And then she said, oh, thank you so much, Benny. Well, what do you owe her? Does she have something against you? And he said, I don't have to give her anything. She's just giving you the baby. She said, are you suing the criers? Nope. She's just giving you the baby. And he's like about to cry as he's saying it, and he just is trying to get off the phone with her. Okay, so Candace says, okay, so can you move now so I can go get this money? He said, no, you're not. You're going up to the child welfare office, and you're going to sign the baby over to mom. You're going to get this warrant dropped, and she's going to have custody. So whatever. So next thing you know, it goes to another scene that's Catherine and Jim. So Catherine goes up to the jail to basically let Jim know what's going on as far as Wyatt, because she's checked on him in the hospital. Of course, he never really has anything good to say to Catherine. They exchange little smart comments back and forth. So the next thing you know, she says, okay, so I'm also going to get in touch with the banker so that we can get the money back from Wyatt's will that at least he hasn't spent at this point. And once we get him out the hospital, we're going to get him some help. We're going to get him treatment. Then so Jim says, you really think the DA is going to let us get treatment for him? She said, well, yes, she wouldn't come in the way of that. He's sick. So Jim says, no, you don't know her. She is going to come in the way. So then Catherine says, what did you do to her? And then he says, I didn't do anything. Anyway, so she's not going to let you do that. So then, of course, Catherine's like, no, if she gets in my way, there's no telling what I will do. Then he said, okay, well, I'm telling you, she is going to get in your way. Okay, so some point during the conversation, they decide that she's going to call some lawyer that he suggested to her to try to get him out of jail. Then she also has this sneaky look on her face, and Jim is like, what is that about? She said, nothing. I'm leaving. I'm not going to do anything you wouldn't do. And then he says, what do you mean anything I wouldn't do? She said, you hire people to do your dirty work. I'll do it myself. Keep in mind, Jim had just told her where the gun was in the house in case that she feels unsafe because she's there by herself. Okay, so Catherine leaves. Now we see Erica in the parking garage of the hotel. So, of course, she looks like a damsel in distress because something's up with her car and she's trying to get it fixed. Well, she's trying to fix it, and David walks up in the parking garage. So David says, oh, well, would ask you for help, but I don't want to get cussed out again. She's like, shh, I don't need your help. And then so he just walks away. Then Erica says, I can't believe he is really walking away. Like, she's really playing that tough, like, I got an attitude, I don't need no man role. And then, so, of course, David, he turns around, he says, would you like me to help you with this? She says, what, do you think a woman can't do this on her own? He said, I'm not saying that. I'm sure that you're independent and you're fully capable of doing it on your own. I just wanted to offer my assistance. So then she says, sure. They go back and forth. He tells her something's wrong with it to the point where she can't drive it and he needs to call a tow truck for her. So then she says, no, I don't have time for that. I have a meeting at my job. And he says, okay, well, I can drop you off. She said, I don't know you. Like, I'll call a car service. And through their conversation, they realize that they're, quote unquote, from the same place. They grew up in the same small town, which I highly doubt it, but this is Erica's story and she's going with it. So he says, you don't trust me? We came from the same place. She said, yeah, even more reason to not trust you. So it's some like playful, like flirting back and forth in there. So then he says, I promise you're safe with me. And then so she says, okay. And she's about to get in his car, but of course, her hands are dirty from trying to fix her car, so he offers her a silk handkerchief. She says, no, this is silk. I wouldn't want to get that dirty. He was like, don't worry about it. Please, take it. So she knows she's reeling him in. So he's driving her there. They're having small talk and all that. She's basically like, you're married, aren't you? He's like, no. She said, oh, looks like it's me. He said, no, I'm actually going through a divorce. She said, why is it that every time a man meets an attractive girl, he's going through a divorce? And he said, so you think you're attractive? And she was like, well, I'm just saying. And then he's like, no, but you are attractive. You're very attractive. I'm like, David, you just getting reeled in. Okay, so anyway, so then he finally gets her to her job. He says, so you're staying at that hotel, right? So aren't you going to need a ride back? She said, no, I can get a ride. Then he says, well, I'd like to, pick you up. What time do you get off work? And she's like, 3 o'clock. And then he says, well, can I come pick you up? She said, well, I don't know. We'll see. If I come out here, then I guess you can. So she's playing hard to get, and he is like loving it. And he says, oh, by the way, what's your name? She said, yeah, you haven't been single in a while. I can tell. You don't even know my name. And then she gets out the car and just like leaves him like thinking about her. So really makes me mad. He meets up. He then goes to the campaign office, and he sees Oscar, a.k.a. Brian, a.k.a. Jonathan, the man with many hats and many names. He sees him there. Then he says, look, I met this girl. I'm going to need you to check her out. This is how I met her. And then Oscar's asking him all these questions to see if anything seems suspicious. At this point, Oscar's like, this might be like a normal girl that you've met. It may not be a setup, but I'm going to look into it. Do you have her name? Do you have anything about her? David says no. But of course, Oscar, he has marks. Erica has marks. So at this point, it's like, who plays the game the best? As long as Erica and Candace are never seen together, then she should be in a good spot. What I am afraid of with Erica is that she will start to really fall for David. But anywho, so that is the end of that storyline. Okay, so then we get to Jennifer, the DA's office. So she's sitting in her office. Then a police officer comes in and says, "Hey, Candace Young and Benny Young are out here. They're trying to get a warrant taken off of their mom's record for kidnapping. They want to drop those charges." And then so she says, "Why are they here?" "Well, did they see the other girl here?" The other girl she's talking about is Quita, Quincy's sister. So the police officer says no, and then she says, "Okay, well, bring them in." So of course they come in. They say, Benny says it was just a misunderstanding. She didn't kidnap him. Actually, me and my sister both agree that she should have like primary guardianship over him, and we need you to take the warrant for her arrest like off. And so she says, "Okay, and what is your name?" Pointing to Candace. "Candace Young." She said, "Okay, could you please give me your ID?" And then she says, "Yeah." And then she says, do you know Quita Maxwell?" "Well, she's here, and she's saying that you guys killed her brother in your house because he went in and he's never come out and she can't find him." Now, what do you have to say about that? So Benny is just getting like all nervous and jittery, and Candace is like, "Well, that is something that a crackhead would say." And so she's like, "Okay, I'll be right back." So Jennifer leaves out, comes back in with Quita. Quita is like loud and obnoxious, so it's like hard to even try to listen to her. So Quita's like, "Yeah, that's her, and I know she killed my brother, and there's a stain on her floor in her house. I know that's where it came from." So then she said, she's like, "I got a picture right here, look at it." So then Jennifer says, "Candace, is this your house?" And Candace says, "Mm-hmm." And she said, "Now, could you tell me where that discoloration of the floor came from?" She said, "Pets." And then she said, Quita said, "She lying. She ain't got no pets." Then she said, "Previous owner. Quita probably doesn't realize that I just bought that house." And then so she says, "Mm-hmm." So they make Quita leave because she's loud and obnoxious. And Quita is like, "Why you ain't arrest her?" Whatever. They get her out. So then Candace and Benny are free to leave and the warrant is lifted. Okay, so of course Benny lets his mom know and she's all happy. She's at Catherine's house and they're just like overjoyed and she's in a good place. Okay, so next thing you know, Quita. She leaves out. Jennifer, the DA, she turns to the police officer. She says, "Hey, we might have something with this case. I need you to go to that neighborhood that Candace lives in, ask around for the neighbors, see if they seen any suspicious activity or seen somebody come in and didn't come out, and that will give us probable cause. Then we'll be able to get a warrant to search her house today." So, of course, 2 police officers show up over there. And Rosie, the nosy neighbor, of course, answers her door. And she's like just spilling the beans. She's like, "Oh, yeah, his name is Quincy. I know this because I spoke with her mother. I have him on camera. And Quincy went into the house, never saw him came out. Never. And I just really think something may have happened. I have the video and I have pictures if you'd like me to show you. And there's a really odd smell in the backyard. Are you guys here for that?" And so she's just like spilling the beans. She's like, "Oh, yes, and my son is on the police force, and my son-in-law," just all this different stuff. So they know that she's heavily connected, so they have to kind of take her seriously. So then they say, "Okay, ma'am, great, we'll come in." So the other police officer stays outside, calls Jennifer, and is like, "Hey, get that warrant done because we have more than enough evidence to think that something may be going on here." Okay, so next thing you know, as I told you, Hannah was at Catherine's house. She's super happy about, the baby being there, and then she lets Catherine know that she has custody of the baby now, and then they go their separate ways. Catherine then goes into some compartment in her house, some special little compartment, pulls out a gun. Now we're trying to figure out who this gun is for because I don't think she feels unsafe. I think that gun is meant for Jennifer the DA, but we shall see next week. Okay, and last but not least is Justin, the police officer. Justin is standing outside of Candace's house. He calls Jeffrey. Jeffrey is at the hospital sitting by Wyatt. Justin said, Jeffrey, is there something you need to tell me about your friend Candace? He says, no, why would you say that? Justin says, please tell me because they have issued a warrant to search her house. And if there's something you need to tell me, you need to tell me now or I'm not going to be able to help you. Please tell me I'm the first police that has shown up here. And then Jeffrey is freaking out. And of course, then the episode ends. Okay, anyways, as usual, like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out at mrsblogaholic.com. Bye.